Good morning, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back to another video. I thought I would get the camera out today and do a little vlog. I've got a lot to do today, including a lot of clinic work, so I thought that'd be quite a nice day to vlog, and we can also chat about some of the cases that I'm working on. But also, I just want to get back into my vlogging game because I was really good at the beginning of the year, and then life happened with everything with the miscarriage, and I just completely fell off filming. So here we are, trying to get back onto it. I'm just making myself a cup of tea. I actually just made that selection without even any thought. So it looks like today we are going for Pucker 3 Mint. Oh, let's just take a breath actually, because I feel like when I start vlogging, I start like, my energy ramps up. But you know what, it's the morning and we need to keep calm, keep calm. Let's do a quick psychological sigh. So it's 2 inhales to full capacity. So you inhale to your fullest capacity, then you inhale a little bit extra, trying to get a little bit more in, and then we're going to slowly breathe out, okay? And I'll explain the benefits after we do it. So let's go. You ready? Let's inhale. Inhale again. And release. Slowly. God, the way that just instantly, like my whole body just goes, ah. That is such a fantastic exercise to do, guys. It's called the psychological sigh. That has actually been research done on it to show that it can help put the body into that nice parasympathetic nervous system state, which is that lovely rest and digest state that we want to promote. So it's an exercise that's great for everyone, but it's particularly amazing if you do suffer with things like anxiety, or you do know that you are a little bit more highly strung, or even when you are just in like the moment, maybe in like a stressful moment. I don't know, maybe it's like your workload has really got on top of you that day, or you're just starting to feel that little bit of heightening, you know, in the chest where you're like, things are feeling like they're coming on top of me. It's a really great little exercise. It takes, as you just saw, like under a minute, and it's a really great way to just recenter and calm the body back down. Anyway, welcome to the vlog. Yes, my hair is vile. We're going to go swimming this morning and I'm going to wash it. So excuse the look this morning. But anyway, welcome to the vlog, and I'm going to make some breakfast. I'm finding myself forgetting to do some of my little health things. For example, this morning when I made my breakfast and I went to sit down and eat it, I then remembered, I was like, oh, I need to take my liver supplements, because like, for example, the liver supplement that I take, and actually the probiotic that I'm taking at the moment, these are best to take on an empty stomach. The liver one is best to take before meals, and the probiotic is best to take on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. And lately I am finding myself being a little bit forgetful of these things. So what I thought I would do, and we can do it together, is I'm going to cut out a piece of paper and I'm going to write up, so it's nice and clear for myself, all the things that I want to do every morning, so that I don't have to rely on my brain to be like, oh, have I done that? Have I done that? You know, when I open my cupboard, which I do every single morning, because I always do make a cup of tea, I then will see my lovely list, and I'll be like, right, let's get those things done. Liver supplements in, probiotic in, do you know what I mean? And I can make sure that I get the things done, basically, right? Because at the end of the day, consistency is key, okay? If you are just taking something here and there, you're probably not going to see much of a result from it. You do need to be consistent when you put new health habits in. Right, we've got number 1, we've got take probiotic. You know, you can also add details on, like for me, for example, it's 3 capsules, so you can write all that kind of information down. Number 2, take liver sup, and that is also a ×3. Right, something I really want to get into in the morning is I want to start doing olive oil shots. I used to do them and I've completely fallen off doing them. Olive oil is amazing for your liver and gallbladder, and it's best to do it on an empty stomach in the morning. The one thing I would just say, actually, if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, I might do that, just make sure that you get really high quality extra virgin olive oil, okay? Not any cheap stuff from the supermarket, nothing that comes in plastic. Like, this needs to be a high quality extra virgin olive oil. So I'm going to pop down here, I'm going to do olive oil shot. There we go. I have just got to the gym. We're on the iPhone, so excuse if the quality has just suddenly dropped. But I'm going to go in for a swim. We're going to wash the hair. We're going to have a relaxation moment. Going to read a little bit to start the day. And yeah, it's going to be fabulous. I do not know where the day has gone. I still haven't dried my hair fully and styled it. So please, let's just ignore the hair. I'm working on these slides for a masterclass that I'm doing. To be specific, this is for the clients who are in my program called the Acne Code, and this is their week 2 masterclass. It's called the Secret Sauce for Healing, and it's a whole masterclass where we dive into basically the belief system and the mindset pillar when it comes to a healing journey, because it is so important. Like, this is make or break. Definitely. Anyway, the reason I put the camera on though is because I'm just doing a slide for this presentation where I'm actually putting together some of the science for this, and I thought I would share some of it because I definitely know that the science is what gets people to listen more. So this first one is definitely one of my favorites. So this is a study where participants all got given the same pain relief medication, and it was all the same dosage as well. So everyone got the same thing. But the difference between the groups is they had different expectations. So one group was given positive expectations with the drug. They were told, you know, this medication is definitely going to work. It's going to take all your pain away. And yeah, it's only going to be a positive outcome. In contrast to that, another group was told the opposite. They were told that very likely this drug is not going to work, and you're not going to feel any different from it. Okay? And what do we think happened? So the group that expected the medication to work, they found that their pain relief doubled. So the relief didn't even just work, they actually found that the effect of the drug doubled because they went into it with the mindset believing that that medication was going to work. It's almost like their mind, this is literally the point, their mind flipped the switch in their body basically to enhance their healing, essentially. And then in contrast, again, what do we think I'm going to say? In contrast, the group that had the negative mindset towards the taking the drugs, they didn't believe it was going to work. They found that the relief completely disappeared, so they didn't actually get any relief from taking the medication. Remember, both these groups got given the same medication, same dosage. And just to back this up further, this trial, should we say, this was all also confirmed using brain scans to confirm that change as well. So basically, in short, yeah, the people that believed the medication was going to work, it doubled the results and they felt fantastic. The people that went into it believing the medication wasn't going to work, it didn't work, right? They didn't even get any relief. Basically just shows that your belief does make a difference in terms of how you respond to a treatment. Anyway, I need to finish off these slides and I also need to go sort this hair out. So by the time I actually finished my work, I was like, do you know what? I might as well do my evening skincare routine, do it all and get ready for the evening. So here I'm basically combining everything together, a little bit of eyebrow dye. While that sets, I went off and did my hair. Do you know what I mean? We love a multitasking moment. Here I'm using the GHD Rise. It is the best tool. I'm obsessed with this tool. It is definitely the best tool I found to keep my curls, and also it helps the frizziness in my hair. So yeah, big fan. Smooth that all down and that's all nice and set. I'll brush that out later. Then I need to go obviously wash the eyebrows off, otherwise they would literally be black. And yeah, what a difference that makes. And also just to say, because I noticed this when I was doing the clips, there's like a vein in my forehead. Apparently that can relate to parasites, and if you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm on a parasite journey at the moment, so I'm kind of interested to see if that actually is a connection or not. Anyway, Ebony, shut up. Tell me what you're doing here. Right, we're face cupping.
Loving this at the moment. This is my new thing, like to help with my lymphatic system in my face, and I really feel like it's helping with my skin texture. My skin just feels so clear and smooth at the moment, and I feel like it's since adding this in that I've noticed a big difference. Then I went in with my second cleanse, and then on this evening I mixed together a serum and a moisturiser, so the Axis Y Dark Spot Correcting Glow Serum and the Isntree Aqua Gel Cream. I like a light consistency personally in the evening, and yeah, this is just a combo that works well on my skin. And that is it. I am ready for bed.
Okay, so it's actually the next day. I actually forgot to say yesterday that yesterday was Saturday, and I'm having a very different weekend to normal because Rob is a very outdoors adventure type of guy. So he does a lot of mountain climbing, so that's where he is this weekend. And I actually have quite a busy week coming up next week because my mum, very last minute, is actually coming over to visit. So basically she comes on Tuesday. I'm trying to like get as much work as I possibly can get done now, so I can actually enjoy a bit of time with her when she's here, because she's only here for like 5 or so days. So I've really made the most of it and done a lot of work this weekend. Yesterday I finished off those masterclass slides, and then today I have recorded the whole masterclass for my clients, so I'll upload that for them tomorrow. I still have some client plans that I need to finish off, so I'm going to finish those tomorrow. So I'll vlog tomorrow and I'll take you along a little bit with that. Right now I'm just getting myself ready because my dad is actually down my direction today, and before he heads back to London, he also asked me if I wanted to go grab some dinner, which obviously I'm not going to turn down. So we're going for a lovely pub roast because it's a Sunday. Also, can we please appreciate how good the eyebrows are? You saw me dye them last night, but this is literally just the dye. I haven't put any eyebrow products through my eyebrows. Look how much better that looks. So good. Right, I need to get some shoes on, and I'm going to head to the pub, and I'm going to take you with me.
Sorry, buddy. It's so awkward.
Good morning. It is Monday morning. My voice is a little bit low. Whoa, I just spilled my tea. Fantastic. Last we spoke, I did say, oh, I'm going to take you off to the pub, you know, and I'll go for my roast with my dad. And I went for the roast, lovely time with my dad, but did not get you out of the pub. That did not happen. So I did whip out my phone and I did film the roast so you could see the food. So at least I got that. But also the food, yeah, that was a disappointment. Really disappointed. Love the food at this pub normally, like on a weekday, hits every time, amazing. But the roasts, no, I don't think I'm going to go back for a roast there. It was that bad. So let's talk about today. Today is plan day. Today is really just focused on client plans. So that's what I'm going to bring you along with. And Rob gets home today, which I'm also really excited about. I haven't seen him for like, I feel like five days now, because he's been looking after his parents' cat because they've been away on holiday. He then went mountain climbing. Do you know what the saddest thing is as well? I mean, fair enough, my mum's coming tomorrow, so I'm not like completely on my own. But he comes back for a night tonight, which I cannot wait for. But then he's off again tomorrow. He's off to Barcelona tomorrow because he's got a work trip. So thankfully, all the dates actually accidentally lined up with my mum, and she's going to be here while she's away. He's away, sorry. But yeah, I can't wait to see Rob. We haven't seen each other much, which is really sad. He's my best friend. Okay, right, let's go through this case. I think this is a really great one to go through. I think there's so much to learn from this. So we're going to change my client's name. So we're going to call her Alice. And just to give you a very quick backstory on Alice, this is her second time coming to me. The first time we worked together was for something very, very different, but I want to go through it because it's actually part of the story. So the first time Alice came to me, she came to me because she wanted to start trying for her second child. And she had some fears around this because she struggled to conceive with her first child. And she was just really worried that she was going to go through the same experience with, you know, her second child. She was worried she wasn't going to be able to conceive naturally. And she really just wanted to look deeper into her health and try and support her chances of conceiving as much as possible. So that was definitely our big focus when she first came to me. We also did a lot of mineral testing together. We did a couple of HTMA tests. We really worked on her minerals. And off the back of that, we also did a lot of work on her metabolism as well. Actually, that was a big area of focus for us. So yeah, that was really the key reasons we were working together at the start. And it must have been maybe about 5 to 6 months, maybe after working together. I remember it now when she messaged me on WhatsApp and she was like, Ebony, I cannot believe this, but I'm pregnant. She couldn't believe that she fell pregnant so quickly and also completely naturally. And yeah, it's just the best feeling ever when you get that message. Anyway, she went on to have a fantastic pregnancy and also a fantastic birth. So everything was going great, and then it's the weeks after that, this is where everything really took a turn for Alice. So this is really where her story begins in terms of why she's come back to me. So the details I'm about to go into, I may not get 100% accurate. So I'm just going to give you like an idea of what unfolded, because this is all what Alice had to like catch me up on when she came back to me. But basically, the gist is, after she gave birth in the following weeks, Alice found out she had sepsis. So she developed sepsis. That's very serious. It can be life-threatening. So obviously she's in hospital and having, treatment for this. You have to go on antibiotics, because they need to make sure they control any infection. And of course, the antibiotics they're going to be using are very strong. So she was on an IV drip with antibiotics. Anyway, this is where Western medicine absolutely shines. This is what they are fantastic at. Absolutely, when you need your life saved, Western medicine is going to be the one to do it, right? Anyway, they got her under control, and then Alice, was discharged and sent back home. And then she went on to continue her journey, with her little one. I mean, I'm pretty sure she probably was in hospital still with her little one because she was breastfeeding. So anyway, she's back into her, into her home, getting back into normal routine. And it's in the weeks after this that she starts to develop a lot of gastrointestinal symptoms. These seem to just not be going. They seem to be getting worse, more persistent. One of the main symptoms she was getting was a lot of pain. And just to put this into perspective, I remember when I had my first call with Alice about this, she said to me, she goes, Ebony, the pain that I was experiencing, she said, I've had 2 childbirths and this pain was worse than childbirth. Anyway, naturally, obviously, she's going back into A&E because she's, clearly she's seeing, oh my God, something is really wrong. She's really scared. She's worried. She's back in A&E. She's trying to get the doctors to now figure out what's going on. No one can figure out what is going on and what is causing this pain. She's being battered around with doctors as well, and the medications were being prescribed that shouldn't have been prescribed. So basically, one doctor that she saw gave her morphine, didn't do their due diligence to, check if she was breastfeeding and all of these types of things. And was given morphine. And obviously, in this state, understandably, Alice is going to, listen and just take what she's given. And she wants to get rid of that pain. Like, of course, she's going to take it, right? She's desperate if you're experiencing this much pain. Anyway, she took it, and then in another appointment with another doctor, she had to recite all the medication she was taking and been given. She mentioned she was given the morphine, and they're like, oh, you should have taken that, you're breastfeeding, so now there's this whole thing of, oh my gosh, she's taken morphine and she was breastfeeding, right? So just imagine like the stress as well through a mother's body as well, going through all this as well. Like I just said as well so many times, just said, anyone just going through these gastrointestinal symptoms is gonna, be so stressed going through that. But also layer on the fact that she's literally just had a baby, right? She's breastfeeding, and there's all of these other demands, and this is her second, so she's got another small child that she's also, is caring for as well. Granted, her husband is there, but it's a lot of things going on here. I'm just gonna cut this shorter now. So the doctors can't figure out what's going on. They don't know what's causing the pain. What they have dwindled it down to is they've basically said, we think you have a stomach ulcer, okay? They don't know if she has a stomach ulcer. They didn't do any tests to find out she had a stomach ulcer. They're just basing it on her symptoms and basically ruling things out, right? And they said, we think you have a stomach ulcer, so you're going to go on omeprazole. So omeprazole is a PPI, it's a proton pump inhibitor. So what that does is it suppresses your stomach acid. And the reason they're giving her omeprazole is basically because they're thinking, well, if you've got a stomach ulcer and your lining is irritated, we need to suppress your stomach acid, for the short term, so we can let your lining heal. Because if your stomach acid is being activated, it could be irritating the lining, and that's the thought behind that might be what's irritating the pain, right? So they want to suppress it down to heal the stomach ulcer. So that is basically everything up until the point where she then messaged me. She said she was in, bless her, she said she was in A&E. She said to her husband, she's like, I'm going back to Ebony because I need to figure out what's going on. And at this point, this is where I really want you to take away from this. Like, this is what I applauded her for massively. Not necessarily coming back to me. I mean, yes, that's part of it, but having that mindset of, there is something going on. I know there's a root cause to this, and I'm going to go find out what this is. Like, the doctors can't, tell me, and they're not, doing that investigation for me. So I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go find out because I know I can, and I know that there is an answer, right? So I just think that's something massive to applaud, because when we talk about her results that have come back, like, oh my gosh, she's so lucky that she has acted on this sooner, okay? So basically, Alice gets back in touch with me. We have a big old conversation and we discuss, okay, what we need to do here. So immediately I said to her, look, we do need to do a GI map. We need to find out what's going on in your gut. We need to see how everything that's happened, the medications, everything, we need to see how everything has impacted that environment to then know how we need to support that environment to bring you back to balance, right? And give you symptom relief. Like I always say to people, how can you fix something if you don't know what you're fixing? And in a case like Alice, where she's very clearly dealing with digestive symptoms that have been triggered because of a digestive connected event, like taking antibiotics, we know that has a massive hit on the digestive symptoms, digestive tract. It's like, no practitioner can tell you what's going on. We need to test to find out, right? We haven't got, this x-ray vision to be able to see exactly what's going on in someone's microbiome. So yeah, how can you fix something if you don't know what you're fixing? So we ran a GI map and her results came back this week. So let me show you some screenshots on the screen of what came back and what we found. So let's start with her digestion markers. What we found was her elastase came up low. Now this makes complete sense now that we piece everything together. But just to quickly talk about this as a marker, this is looking at essentially your pancreas output. So it relates to your pancreas and how well you're producing things like your digestive enzymes, which you need to break down all your foods and digest. So these are coming up definitely suboptimal than what I want to see. And when we see these results come up, something that's always important, this is the way of like the naturopathic way of working, is we're always asking why. Like we're always trying to get, to the bottom of things, right? It's kind of like the saying, like you ask why until you can't ask it anymore. Like when you see elastase coming up low, like we don't just think, oh, she needs digestive enzymes, let's just chuck a digestive enzyme supplement in and that will fix it. Like that's the same as working almost like a doctor would. Like from our perspective, we want to think, well, why is it low, right? Yeah, we're going to support it. Yeah, we're going to maybe consider something like digestive enzymes initially to help get numbers up, for example. But we need to be asking, like, why is it low though in the first place? And this is where we can, potentially contribute this to the omeprazole she's taking. Because like I said, omeprazole is going to suppress your stomach acid. And your stomach acid actually then triggers your, next digestive secretion. So stomach acid will trigger digestive enzyme output. So the fact that her stomach acid is being suppressed, that is going to have a knock-on effect and suppress her overall digestive function. Other factors that might be contributing to this could be the stress of not only going through what she's going through with all these symptoms and everything that's happened, but also the stress of being in the early newborn days again, stress of the change of routine, eating habits. Sometimes you can't sit there and focus on your meal and eating because you've got a child that's screaming or you've got something to tend to and you've got to make sure that they're sorted. Like digestion can really be impacted through these things. So it could be maybe lifestyle factors that is also maybe suppressing her digestive function. Right, let's move on to her immune response and her inflammation markers. A lot of inflammation happening, a lot, right? Calprotectin is at 694. When it's above 100, that's an immediate GP referral. So I've already said to this client, like, you need to take this result to your doctors and have them retest this and check if this is still coming up high. That's what they want to look for. They want to see if that inflammation is staying elevated and staying consistently elevated. Because a marker like calprotectin can move. It could be influenced by other factors, maybe at the time of the test. So you want to, retest it and check if that is still staying elevated. If it's still staying elevated, this is localized inflammation. This is a marker that commonly gets tested when people have IBD conditions, right? Because they're inflammatory bowel conditions. This is definitely telling us that there is localized inflammation within the bowel. okay? We then also have a similar picture here with the eosinophil activation protein, very similar kind of thing as well. This is almost a bit like an inflammation marker. Now this one is also elevated. Now one thing I want to also tie into both of these is look at that anti-gliadin as well. So gliadin is a component of gluten, and yeah, she is definitely having a reaction. Her immune system is not liking the gluten in her diet. So looking at these markers, I mean, the main focus for me in my first plan with this client is reducing inflammation, right? We need to take the fires down, right? So an immediate obvious thing here for her is to get the gluten out, because that gluten is being a fire starter, right? It's aggravating the immune system. That's going to further aggravate potentially the eosinophil activation protein and the calprotectin. Also, we need to bear in mind gliadin is also the component which can wear down on what we call the tight junctions of the gut. So the gut lining has these tight junctions. You imagine it like my fingers here. We want really nice tight junctions, so that barrier is really robust and strong. But gliadin can start to aggravate the tight junctions, and it can start to make the gut barrier go a little bit like this. This is what we call intestinal permeability. It's also known as leaky gut, right? So it can basically damage the gut barrier. And you know, this is all really, really important stuff for us, because this client, although, you know, within this test, you know, I mean, she only had a tiny trace of blood found. In the beginning, when she first started experiencing these symptoms, she had some blood come out through her stool. So we know that gut barrier has been compromised, right? So immediately just from seeing this test, we're like, whoa, that gluten needs to come out, because right now that is literally just pouring the gas further on the fire, right? Worsening the gut barrier, wearing down at the wall and increasing the inflammation. Now, from a plan perspective, for me, you know, in the plan that I've just been working on today, we've put a lot of focus into her anti-inflammatory support, and really focusing on things that we can add in to help calm inflammation down, things that we can add in to also even support that barrier as well. Just gentle things, definitely at this stage. But definitely that's been a big focus, is all about anti-inflammatory support and barrier support. Speaking of inflammatory support, let's now go to the next section here. I want to talk about her microbiome health, because this also massively connects with her inflammatory support. Commensal keystone bacteria, this is basically your good bacteria, okay? Now, something that obviously we're naturally concerned of with Alice after going through the sepsis ordeal and having the antibiotics and everything, is we are concerned about how has that impacted our microbiome. Because when you take antibiotics, particularly broad spectrum antibiotics, they're going to wipe out the good and the bad, okay? And what we have to understand about our gut microbiome is all about the whole environment. Okay, that's what we're looking at. We're trying to look at the whole ecosystem and how everything is behaving with each other. When it comes to looking at your gut, it's not an isolated thing. You don't just, for example, just focus on good bacteria or just focus on like one thing, right? You have to look at the whole ecosystem. When you take antibiotics, like I said, it can wipe out the good and the bad. And what that means is it can basically deplete the ecosystem, and then, oh, hold on one second, someone's at the door. Okay, I'm back, sorry about that. So basically what I was saying is, yeah, when you take antibiotics and they wipe out the good and the bad, the issue that can come off the back of that is that, particularly when you're wiping the good out, it then is going to create more room for unwanted bacteria, or opportunistic bacteria, that's what we call it, to invade and take over, okay? And that's how an imbalance starts to occur, okay? So for anyone after antibiotics, that is the main concern. It's like making sure you do the right support afterwards to rebalance your environment back out. But definitely for Alice, that was one of our concerns, is that because she'd been on, you know, strong antibiotics, we were, you know, questioning, well, what's her microbiome looking like now? Like, what's the impact that has had on her, you know, beneficial microbes, and, you know, where's her balance sitting? So if we look at Alice's results here, firstly, we can see at the bottom her group. So these are two dominant groups when it comes to our bacteria. These two groups are showing that her overall balance and her overall, let's just say numbers, right, of bacteria is generally low, right? So we are looking at more of a depletion within the microbiome. And if we look at the bacteria a bit more specifically above, yeah, we can see that these definitely have taken a hit. Okay. Also, this client, like, I worked with her previously, she had a fantastic diet. I definitely would assume these bacteria would have been in much better places before this happened. Yeah, she did a lot of work in these areas before. So I definitely can see these have taken a hit. But what's more interesting to me, going on from the inflammation, conversation we were having, is that she does lack numbers in microbes which absolutely help her with like her anti-inflammatory protection. So to give you an example, this one here, Facilin Bacterium praxinitzi, this is definitely a lot lower than what I'd want to see. And this, without going too sciencey, but just chucking a little bit of science in here for you, these microbes can produce these byproducts called short chain fatty acids. And basically short chain fatty acids are incredibly beneficial for our microbiome and the gut environment. Okay, they have wonderful anti-inflammatory qualities. They also help with the pH of your microbiome. They help with even like keeping the balance and warding off unwanted microbes. Like, they're really conditioning, shall we say, to the gut microbiome. And Facilin Bacterium praxinitzi is one of your dominant short chain fatty acid producers. So seeing that this is low, immediately I can see that her anti-inflammatory protection from the short chain fatty acids is going to be depleted, right? So when it comes to me putting her plan together, details like this are things that I want to optimize with her. We want to work on rebuilding these things back and supporting that production, okay? Because we obviously are going to work on inflammation and reducing it from these sources like gluten or other things with her diet. But we also need to remember that your immune system, actually, if we're going back to inflammation being immune mediated, generally speaking, your immune system is largely located in the gut. Over 70% is in the gut, but the microbes in your gut play a massive role within your immunity. So this is also a huge area we want to tap into when it comes to optimizing your anti-inflammatory support within your body, and in this client's case, really cooling that inflammation that is localized in the gut. If we go to this part, the test as well here, the opportunistic microbes, and this is an exact example of what I said. When you take the good things down, it becomes a reservoir for things to overgrow and take over. And that's what we can see on this second page. She has got 2 microbes that have come up red and overgrown. So we've got Enterococcus faecalis, and we've got Klebsiella. Klebsiella in particular can be particularly very inflammatory. She also does have some numbers here of Klebsiella. I'm not going to say, I'm really bad at pronouncing this, pneumonia. I'm not very good at pronouncing things, guys. I know what they are, but I'm just not very good with the pronunciations, never have been. Citrobacter is another one as well. So this one is also very inflammatory. She's got some, little number of that. Even though these guys can be fine in the lower numbers, like they're not over their reference range, we should need to be, aware of, what's going on within this space. And also even questioning if maybe some of these bacteria have started to form biofilms. So there's something called biofilms where bacteria basically come together and they almost form these little communities together, and they form like an indestructible outer layer, and they hide in biofilms. So sometimes, until you go in with, let's say, a biofilm disruptor, sometimes you don't see the full full picture sometimes with these numbers. Sometimes there's some hidden. Enterococcus faecalis is really interesting for her as well, actually, because this one can relate to UTIs, and she is prone to them. So it's another good reminder, guys, that your microbiomes are connected, right? So what's going on in your gut can influence other microbiomes, and in this case your urinary tract or even your vaginal microbiome. But it also can go the other way, like your oral microbiome can affect your gut microbiome, which actually is a nice segue into another thing with this one in particular, is that Enterococcus faecalis also can come from weak digestion, particularly like things like weak stomach acid and PPI use, actually, which she is on with being on omeprazole. I don't know if I said this earlier, but when your stomach acid is suppressed, like stomach acid is a really important barrier for our systems. It's what kills off unwanted bacteria. So if you are suppressing your stomach acid, then it's like the floodgates are open, and that's how these microbes can get in a lot easier. It's just so much, to pull together here, and it's so fascinating to dive into. I'm just going into this, lightly here. Obviously I've gone into a bit more detail definitely with Alice, but I just want to just show you guys an example of, you know, the information you get back from these tests. And taking Alice as an example, actually, with what I said about you know, she's really been on it and not waited for it to get worse. She thought, no, I need to get to the bottom of this. Just looking at a picture like I'm seeing here, if Alice, say, didn't do this test and just kept on taking omeprazole, kept on, you know, just pushing, you know, on her own, basically, the kind of picture that this could develop into, if I'm going to be honest with you, over time, this could actually even be a picture that would develop into something maybe even like SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. She started, to deal with a little bit of constipation, so the bowels are already starting to slow down. If you have slow motility and you pair that with weak digestion and it's post taking antibiotics, like, whew, that is a recipe for developing SIBO if you're, you know, if you don't support yourself properly. That definitely is a way, you know, to go down that route. Definitely you know, worries around just the state of her gut barrier. Like, if this inflammation wasn't dealt with, if she didn't know that maybe that gluten was being so reactive as it is, you know, and this inflammation kept on brewing, like, absolutely this could trigger into much serious complications within her bowel. So the thing is, guys, I think the point is that, you know, Alice has done this test because she wants to get to the bottom of her symptoms, but what you also need to see is, like, this is your preventative health, right? Alice isn't just doing this for herself now. Alice isn't just doing this to get herself symptom free right now. She's also doing this because she does not want this to get worse, and she also wants to make sure that she doesn't now have a much harder battle on her hands for years to come. So that's just a little taster of this case. And in terms of the plan that I've put together for her today, firstly, you need to say Rome will not be built in a day, right? There is stages to plans and healing. So this first plan, I briefly touched on this earlier, is massively focused around reducing that inflammation down. So obviously removing that gluten, removing the obvious irritants, and then focusing on adding things into her diet to add in more anti-inflammatory support. Definitely we're using some supplements, but I'm taking it very gently with her. So in a client like this where her symptoms are so sensitive and reactive, you know, we go in with one thing at a time. It is a marathon, not a sprint, and that is how you're going to get the best results. Like, if you start putting too many things in at once, like, you're actually just increasing your risk to then have a negative reaction, and then that becomes more stressful. So slow and steady wins this race. But yeah, we are using some supplements. We've got a couple in there which we'll just gradually introduce one by one, all working around the areas of inflammation, her microbiome, and just helping her to balance out this ecosystem. Also, other things that we are focusing on for her is definitely her upper digestive tract. So putting in things to soothe that lining, things in there to help promote healing of the lining, reduce inflammation a bit more locally as well. Also with her digestion stuff, interestingly, I'm not actually going in straight away like ramping her digestion up, because she's on omeprazole and she does notice that being on omeprazole is actually helping her. So the suppression of that stomach acid to a degree is helping her. What I'm focusing on first with her is actually her lining repair in the stomach before we start activating and trying to rebalance and support, you know, stomach acid and the digestion pillar. Because again, if we do that too hard too soon, we might find that might aggravate symptoms, right? So we have to do things in a certain order and unlock the healing, you know, one key at a time. And then also there's other pillars to her plan as well, like even looking at her other areas like her stress, like helping her a little bit around meal times with the little ones, you know, trying to come up with ideas just to make her life a bit easier. Like, I also say this to my clients, like when I'm working with someone, like I'm not healing the symptom, I'm healing the person, you know? So we look at you as like as a whole individual. We have to take everything into account. And we'll get going with this, and once we should hopefully see, you know, progression happen, we start to see that system calm down, that's when we build. We build, and that until we build her back to where we want her. So yeah, it might take a little while, and being really transparent. I mean, my client, what did I call her? Alice. Alice knows this is not going to be an overnight fix, and you know, she has her mindset in place, and that's such an important thing on a healing journey. You have to have the right mindset. I actually did a whole masterclass with my clients on that actually yesterday. It was such a good masterclass. She has the right mindset, and she knows that these things take time, and I know with this client, just give it the time and she's going to rebuild all of this back and we'll get her to a great place. So there you go. There's your little example of a case for today. Let me know if you enjoyed that and let me know if you want me to keep like adding in a little case to these vlogs and videos. Give me the feedback, guys, because it's really, really hard filming videos when you feel like you're talking to no one. Okay, I'm gonna go wrap myself up and I'm gonna go stretch these legs. I need to move this body. I've been sat down too much today. My lymph, I can feel it is stagnant. I need to go move it. I need to get my blood pumping, get off this screen, get some nature in my eyes, get that natural light to my pineal gland. And then I'm gonna come back raring to go to finish off the day and also end with a client call. And then I get to see Rob. I'm so excited for that. Robin's going to be home any minute. I'm excited. Here, do you want to take some? Hello. You're on camera.
Oh, wait.
Right, we can say goodbye now. End my vlog for me. I've told them all about where you've been off to my mountain biking. Not mountain biking.
No, mountain climbing. No,
mountain climbing trip, looking after Rosie, the little cat.
Yeah, little cat.
And now you're off to Barcelona tomorrow. Leaving me again.
Work. What can you do?
What can you do?
Pay bills. Got to put food on the table for you and the kids.
Go on then, end my vlog.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. See you later. To the pips. See you on Flippity Flip.
On the flippy flip. Go away.